Hi, this is Mike.
And this is Fran.
And this is Mike and Fran Unrehearsed, episode 13. Wow. Can you believe it, Mom? We're on episode 13.
Not at all.
Wow, this is great. This is great. I mean, we're having the time of our lives. You guys know that, right? That's right. We are. Absolutely. Absolutely, we are. Hey, you're listening to Mike and Fran Unrehearsed on 216 The Net. That's real life internet radio. And as always, if you guys have questions, we did shoot you guys a new email last time, and I'd appreciate it if you use it. That way I get the questions much earlier, and I have all week to look at them to get your questions in. So please email your questions to mikeandfranradio@gmail.com. And as always, go to Facebook or YouTube and look for Mike and Fran Unrehearsed for all of our older shows that you haven't heard, or you want to hear again, or you want to have some friends hear them. That would be awesome. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel and look out for our brand new blog called mikeandfran.com, where you can comment on our shows and look for more photos and videos of Mike and Fran. All right? Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. First off, I want to let you guys know that I do a little bit of real estate on the side, and if you need any help with maybe a competitive market analysis of your home and see what it would be worth, or if it's worthwhile fixing up, or you want to move, or just have some questions about what's out there right now, give me a buzz. I'm at 847-903-8061. That's Mike from Mike and Fran at Keller Williams Success Realty in Barrington, 847-903-8061. And of course, if you need a plumber, you're going to call Joe the plumber. When you got to go, call Joe. Free estimates, no job too large or too small. He'll get the right guy, unless it's going to be Joe, because Joe could handle a lot of those jobs, and he's a great guy. He's at 773-732-8153, and what I would like you to do is to text him Mike and Fran. Then he knows where it's coming from. And guess what? He's going to offer you a 10% discount. Isn't that awesome? So text Mike and Fran to 773-732-8153. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Hey, it's fall, and you know what that means? Beautiful trees and leaves, and wow, did you guys go out there this weekend? I was out there for a little bit, and it's just starting to get really beautiful. The bright reds and orange trees and bushes. And when I go out on the trail out here in Lake Barrington, what I like to do is take some photos. And every once in a while, I see a couple squirrels. We have the black squirrels, the regular colored kind of brown squirrels, and lighter gray squirrels. I saw one with like a peanut. It was like huge. I'm like, look at him. He's showing off, that little guy. I got some pictures. Weren't they funny looking, Bob? I'm going to post some of those on our site for you guys, probably on the blog, coming up real soon. And guess what we saw? I went out and I saw a heron just standing there. And I go, oh my God, it stopped, because usually on my bike, it kind of takes off. And I'm like, oh, I wish I would have got there like 5 seconds before. And I actually got to take some photos of this huge heron standing there. And then he took off in flight. And I went, and I got like 5 or 6 pictures of him. And what's cool is you could see the reflection of the heron in the water. And it was really cool. I'm going to have to post some of those for sure. So if you guys got any awesome fall pictures, send them on over to mikeandfranradio@gmail.com. And I'll share them with the whole gang, okay? Sound good? All right. So, there's a couple things that we wanted to sort of clear up here from last week. The opera that Mom saw in Italy, right? Where was that, Mom? There was something about that you wanted to mention.
I just wanted to mention that it was the very first time I had seen an opera. And it was in Italy on a very hot night, and we went to an outside Colosseum, walked up a stone to sit on the stone seats, my mother and I, and it was marvelous.
How old
as I
was
mentioned,
your mother then, do you think?
My mother was in her 70s.
Wow.
And her feet swelled very badly. It was so hot. She took her shoes off and couldn't get her shoes back on. So she had to walk out in her bare feet and on some gravel to get on the bus to go back.
Wow.
But it was great because they had the live elements and live horses.
Well, the opera was Aida, right?
Aida.
It was Aida.
And one of my favorite
operas.
operas.
That's the clue right there. That's the key.
But
that's the first opera that you want to see.
Yes.
And if you can see it in Italy with live animals, do it.
Yeah.
Because this is the funny thing about opera. if you bring somebody, I mean, we used to go all the time. We had season
After
tickets,
that.
and I would bring somebody for the first time, and it would be maybe a long, boring 3-hour opera like Xerxes or something off the beaten path, like English or German or something, or I don't know what it was. But it was not an opera to inspire somebody to want to see another opera, and that's what you have to do. If you love opera and you bring somebody to go, make sure it's going to be a fantastic show that's just going to blow their socks off. And then they're going to want to see more opera because you don't want to show them a really long one and then have it be a huge disappointment because they will never see an opera again.
Well, Michael and I belonged to the lyric opera for maybe 15, 20 years.
Yeah, we did. We did.
And went year after year.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. Then Aida is one of my favorites. But
We
to see it
enjoyed it.
live
Yeah.
in Italy with the animals, that is just fantastic.
Yep, my first opera.
All right, so I want to know if any of you guys have actually watched our favorite show,
Lilyhammer.
Lilyhammer, with Steven Van Zandt. It's hilarious. If you like gangster kind of related stories, it's sort of related to Sopranos because he's a fish out of water and he's in Lilyhammer, and he's just got a way with people that he wins them over, and he's a legit guy and he's running a legit business. But guess what? He don't take no shit from anybody. Could I say that, Mom? Could I say that?
Well, he was in the witness protection program.
Yeah. So what do you want to say
Steven.
about Lilyhammer, Mom?
I wanted to say that we talked about it last week, but I was going to say I had actually been to Lilyhammer about a couple of years after the Winter Olympics in the summer.
Oh.
And we had gone up there to where the ski lifts were and where they came down and skied, and we stayed in some of the athletics dorms there.
Oh,
and Lilyhammer is beautiful. I had been to Lilyhammer.
Oh, that's pretty
all.
cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Lilyhammer. Any of you guys been to Lilyhammer? No.
No,
I
Norway
didn't
is
think so.
beautiful.
I've been to a lot of places, but that's not one of them. But what was funny in the series was that he's like, okay, where do you want to go? We're going to let you go anywhere you want. You can start your life over. Nobody will know you're there. We promise. And he goes, Lilyhammer. He goes, what do you want to go to? Paris, or France, Jamaica, Bahamas, Las Vegas? Well, where do you want to go? Lilyhammer. And they go, what? I go, why Lilyhammer? He goes, hey, no one's going to look for me in Lilyhammer. He's right. And he's right. He's right. So it was really good. We enjoyed it. You guys got to check it out, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, as you guys remember from last week, we talked about the best vacations and the worst vacations. And I'd still love to hear from you guys. Give us an email, mikeandfranradio@gmail.com on your best vacation and worst vacation, and we'll talk about it a little bit and see what other people think. But there was a couple vacations that we made to Oregon that were pretty action-packed, wasn't there, Mom? We went white water rafting.
Yes, in the Deschutes River in eastern Oregon.
That was awesome. We got a photo downstairs of that
Yes,
still.
we do, and it was fun. You had to do practicing for a while first on how to row and how to sit in it and that.
And that was some serious rafting.
And my daughter didn't get on, my eldest daughter, because she was pregnant, but her husband was there. Out of all the people that fell out was my son-in-law, who was 6'5". He was the only one that fell out of the boat when we were rafting.
Well, he thought he
and
knew
my
what he was doing.
70-year-old
and-
mother was on there too.
That's
She
right.
was 70
That's
at
right.
that
My
time.
grandmother was on there.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the other one in Oregon was mentioning when we went to the Oregon dunes about, I think, near Florence,
Oh,
Clearwalk, and being an Oregonian, and I was with taking my daughter, Lisa, my youngest daughter, and a niece from New Jersey and a nephew from Oregon, all in their early 20s. And
So it was.
We went
It
in-
was you. It was Lisa. It was
Stephen
Michelle
and Michelle.
Stephen. Okay.
and we
Stephen's from Oregon. Michelle's
Yeah.
from New Jersey.
Yeah. Part of the group was going to the dune buggies over in a place where you could ride.
Right.
It's where my sons went, my husband, and a number of people. Not my husband. I think it was Uncle Carmen and
Uncle Carmen. Uncle Carmen
other
went with
people.
us.
But anyway, and Linda stayed back on one side of the dunes with my father and I think my mother. And I decided I would walk over to the ocean, over the sand dunes. It's about a 2-mile hike through the dunes, but I could do it. These Oregon girls could do anything.
Yeah, there you go.
So I looked at the trees back there and thought, well, the ocean's there. So we went out. Well, we proceeded to get lost. After about 3.5 to 4 hours, people didn't know where we were.
Oh, no.
They were going to the police. We were lost out there. And I was going adjacent, right along the line, instead of going across to get there. I had my directions all mixed up.
Uh-huh.
And I had told the kids earlier when they looked at holes, I said, well, they might be snake holes. Well, when it got to be chilly, it was starting to get cold about 4 o'clock, 4:30 when the sun went down. And I said, well, bury yourself in the sand. It's still warm. They said, no, snakes are in there. Well, I don't know if they really were or not.
Wow.
So
what good
at
is
this
that gonna
time,
do?
people were calling the police. The police were getting ready to send the helicopter out. And we finally, all of a sudden, saw 2 big riders come up on their Harleys or their motorcycles, dune buggies. And these
Dune
2
buggies
guys,
or Harleys? Which was it?
I don't know. They looked just
Well,
great
they
big
had to
things.
be on a dune buggy to go out there.
Some sort, yes.
Okay.
And they grabbed up 2 of the girls, and we told them we were lost. They said, we'll take them back over to where we are and come back. And they scooted the 2 girls off. And then I worried, oh my God, where are they taking them? What are they doing? What are we going to do? Stephen and I stayed there. And then we decided we'd follow where these dune buggies had gone.
So
And
you
then
were following the tracks?
as best we could. And then they scooted back and picked us up and took us back over to the place. And then we got picked up, I think it was by the police, and we got back all together. And my daughter, who was pregnant, had to sit all this time with my father while he was talking about the black hole.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, I didn't need 4 years of hearing about the
4
black
hours.
hole.
4 hours.
4 hours, actually.
4
Well, it
years.
seemed like
4 years.
4 years to her.
Yeah, well.
But anyway, that was an interesting trip. And my dad said, oh, I never thought Frances would ever get lost. She knows her state.
Sure.
I
in
really
the middle
didn't.
of the Oregon dunes,
Yep,
you have no
I
idea
didn't.
where you're at.
I didn't.
No GPS, no
No,
cell phones,
no,
no nothing.
no.
Right?
Nope, just got lost.
That was quite a while ago.
Yep.
That wouldn't happen now, though. Maybe.
I hope not. Who knows? You can always get lost.
That was an adventure.
Somewhere,
Did you have
yeah.
any pictures of you and these biker dudes or anything? or
No, we didn't have a camera that we took with us.
That would have been
then
pretty
around.
cool.
No cell phones or stuff, not at all.
Well, you'll never forget that trip.
Okay.
That's for sure. Okay, Mom, so here's a good one. Do you keep any of your childhood friends into adulthood? I'm sorry, did you keep any of your childhood friends into adulthood?
Well, unfortunately, I did not keep as many as I think I should have.
Oh,
I'm in envy of my friend Helga, who keeps friends from everything she was in since kindergarten, practically.
Wow.
And clubs, groups. When she was in Europe, she kept in contact with that group, with everything. I sort of had one friend, Roxy Stewart Skeleton, who passed away a couple of years ago. And Roxy and I kept up college after always. But she was the main one.
Roxy.
One of the reasons was that I went to a grade school in a suburb of Eugene, Santa Clara, from grades 1 through 8.
in Eugene, Oregon.
And
yeah.
yes, and then I went to junior high for 1 year for 9th grade in the city. And I went there, I didn't live there. We had to be bused in there. And then I went to a smaller high school on the University of Oregon campus. And not many people from my school went there. They went to the larger school.
Oh, I see.
So I never kept contact with all of these people. And then also, we lived on a farm. We worked a great deal of the time. I never got together with girlfriends or did things, never had a car of my own. And on weekends, we were always helping my mother during the summer canning things like corn, beans, cherries, peas.
Beets.
Oh, yes, marvelous pickled beets.
yeah.
And corn that would make you be the best criminal in the world or so. I mean,
What do you mean?
Well, actually, cucumbers did that. Picking the cucumbers.
Why is that?
Because they took your fingerprints off. You
Oh.
said they were so rough.
For
But
permanent?
the corn,
No,
no,
just,
no.
come on, just for
But
a
the
little.
corn, you would
Wow.
blanch it and cut
That's
it.
a hot
and
tip
that
right there.
Stuff would get on your face, and you couldn't even move your face. It was like a mask on.
Really?
So we did a lot of working, and then I did not keep up when I went to college with girls or something. I worked and paid my own way, and I worked night and day. I worked at nights in the McDonald Theater as an usherette, I mentioned earlier.
Right.
And I'd worked in the library. I worked grading papers for Dr. Baldinger, and I worked in a drugstore and worked in a lumber yard, filling up the cars with my dad during the war when they couldn't get men. So we didn't have a lot of free time.
Were there other kids that had farms besides you guys?
You know, we weren't
I
the
mean-
only. Well, there
I
was
mean-
the city folk. We were the farm folk. There was the city
But
folk.
there was other farm
Yeah.
folk, wasn't there?
Not as many. There were. There were.
And you didn't really
Yeah.
socialize with them too much.
No, not at all. Never saw them ever. You know.
Okay.
We, no matter what our age, we worked on the farm. Whether you were 6 or 8 or 10 or 12, you get 4 of us out there if we planted tomatoes, and we'd have somebody go ahead and dig a hole. We'd have somebody come and slop in some fertilizer water. Somebody put the plant in, and somebody come along with their feet and squish the soil down.
Well, you had like a little assembly line.
And we do this for rows that were about a mile long, and those
Wow.
took time to look. So
Wow.
we were always busy. We didn't have as much time to pal around like people did today at things. You know.
Wow.
So
Wow.
anyway, no, I wish that I would have kept up more of the friends. I wish it'd been more social.
Right.
Part of it maybe might have been me. I started out being a very shy person, and then I lived out in the country, way out on this farm, away from the city, and then I worked a great deal of the time. But that's just excuses. I could have been more friendly with people and kept up.
Well,
And I would encourage my kids to do that.
I'd have to say that with the modern age of cell phones and texting and Facebook and social media and all that, that's a lot easier now to be in touch with people that you grew up with. If you want to reach out and if they want you to reach out to them, I mean, I see a number of my friends from Elk Grove High School because we have some reunions here and there, and either my year or the year before or the year after, and we have my friends in the band, the Rob Post band, that always play, and they all went to Elk Grove, or many of them did, and so I go there and I see people from Elk Grove there. So that's always my grade school or my high school, but grade school, there's a few people that I still know, but I just don't talk to them too much anymore.
Well, I forgot to mention that after I was out of college, a few years, I moved back to Chicago area
Oh yeah.
and spent the rest of my time here, my life. So I wasn't with all of my friends.
Well,
at
one
all.
thing I want to say is that Mom does have a computer. Well, I did get her a computer. I got a
Yeah, well,
MacBook
it's
for
different
myself and
now.
one for her. I got her a smartphone, an Apple iPhone S8. It's a pretty nice one, and she's got a Facebook page, and she does emails and posts things on Facebook. And a lot of the folks that respond to her on there are some of her student teachers that she's had through
Oh,
the years.
yes, yes.
And what's great is
And
that that's a
students.
way. I mean, I did it basically for our family. I'm like,
And
okay.
students.
Some members of my family are like, I'm never going to be on Facebook. I have no reason to be on there. Well, it's a great way to sort of be in touch with family members for folks, I think.
And some of my
I mean,
students.
you don't have to live and breathe it, and you
Yeah.
don't have to post everything on there.
Yeah.
But, it kind of gets everybody up to date on what's going on. You can do photos and whatever you want. So I think it's great. And I got Mom on there. And the family, I think, appreciated it too. Now that you have, your own cell phone and you're on email and you can do Facebook and everything. And that's an easier way for those guys to be in touch. But your student teachers and some of the letters that you get every year are really interesting over the holidays, especially. And I remember one of your teacher friends, I think it was, who we thought was living this crazy life. Well, she is, but we thought she was writing the letter, and her son wrote the
The
letter.
Christmas letter.
Oh, yeah. So who was that? You remember?
Nancy Legg.
Yeah.
When I said, Nancy, I can't get over how great these are. I've kept them every year for so many years.
Well, because you finally let
Yeah.
me start reading them, and I'm like, Nancy Legg has a way with
These
words.
should be in a book.
She should be
Yeah.
writing publications.
And
She
she
should
said,
be doing editorials.
yeah, this year.
She's,
Well, Fran,
this woman's a writer.
I really don't write them. My son does. And I go, what?
After how
Yeah.
many years was that?
Oh, gosh, a lot of
like
years.
25, 30
Yes,
years?
yes, yes.
And those letters are
Yeah.
fantastic.
By Matt, her son.
Oh, my God. And I still look forward to reading them.
Yeah.
They're great. They're great. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay, here's a question that came in for Fran. I'm 79 and feel like I'm running out of things to do. It's not as easy to go out and about anymore. How do you keep yourself busy, keeping from being bored? What do you think, Mom? Well, what did you do? When you were 70, well, let's see.
Well, a few years then after I quit teaching, in 1994, I had my daughter move in with me with 3 kids.
Right.
And a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old. So the 2.5-year-old I kind of took care of for 5 years.
Well, that was Alyssa.
And helped the kids with their homework. So I was kind of doing double duty then.
That was Alyssa, Ryan,
And
Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And helped them with the homework and the stuff.
They took my bedroom. The boys took my bedroom. I went in the basement. Remember?
Yes.
And you and Lisa stayed on the king bed, and then we had a little like a little baby bed or something, like a crib. I guess she was on for a
Yeah.
while. All in that one room. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. It was about 5 years.
But how do I not get bored? Usually is because I do not have the family living with me now. My daughter now isn't here, and the kids are
Yeah, but
out of college.
One of the things I think you need to mention is when they lived here is when we took Alyssa to auditions. And you started doing that
Oh,
too.
yes,
so
yes,
that
yes.
was something that
Well,
kept us busy.
we
I mean,
went-
this is not, of course, this is
Yeah.
not COVID and anything like that. But I got Alyssa involved with auditioning for commercials, and she was really good at it at the time and loved it. And that's why, as she got older, she decided she didn't want to be, in front of the camera. She wanted to be more behind the scenes, and she became an editor, a film editor. And that's what she does now. She's 22 and lives in
Well-
Boise and loves her job with Balsam, editing all the Christmas trees and all the products they make over the holidays.
Well, there were some times that I would take her down 5 days a week on the train when she was
'Cause I couldn't
3,
always go.
4, and 5.
If your kid is an
And-
actor, and they'll call on Monday and they'll say, "Oh, I need her on Wednesday at 11:30, all the way downtown, and here's the script. Can you guys make it?" Yeah. If you start saying no, they're not going to call you, and you have to be available to take her down there. So I wasn't always available. Most of the time I was. So I showed Mom how to do it, and Mom
So
drove her down.
I
You
spent
drove her all the way down there to an audition.
I didn't drive. We took the train.
Well, but you drove to the train.
I drove to the train in Barrington, and we went down. I did this for 2-3
Well,
years.
but when you got down there, you had
Yeah.
to take a taxi, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
She loved to pay the cab, and
Oh,
it
wow.
really helped her grow up a
I
lot
think it
in the
did.
city.
Anyway,
But-
that's one of the things that Mom did when she was around that age. What else? Well, Mom, you were in 2 book clubs, and one of them. I mean, how long are you in that one? Like 30 years now, Arlington Heights, the Great Books
Great
Club.
Books, yes.
Yeah, and the one here in Lake Barrington Shores, maybe for not quite as
Right.
long.
Well, the 2 great book clubs are great. But right now, since they were in libraries, and a lot of libraries were closed
Yeah.
on account of the virus situation, I really haven't gone into them for the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
But how do I not get bored? I read a lot. Read with every kind of book.
You love to read.
Just loved The Gentleman in Moscow and some of the books. And,
You know what would be a good idea? If we could post some, I know that you put this list together of your favorite stories books that you read, and we could post that, and people could look at that. Okay, Mom. So what else do you do to keep yourself from being bored?
Well, I'm an avid reader.
That's right, you are.
I have to read the newspaper every morning unless I have a panic attack.
Well, I remember a couple days ago, even I brought the papers somehow to Lisa's, and I came back here at the end of the day, and I had to go and get another paper because I knew that you would have a fit. And there's only one place over here, the Shell over there on Northwest Highway. They always have the Herald. Because I remember one time when we didn't have this subscription, I would go and pick one up there every day for a while. And it was the only place that had them. All right, sorry. Go ahead. Go on.
And I worked the crossword puzzle, the last thing.
Oh, you love to work
But
the
I
crossword
read the
puzzle.
whole paper first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I do too. And what else, Mom?
I write a lot of letters. Since I have family from Oregon on one coast and New Jersey on the other coast, I spend a bit of time in groups for holidays or just times writing 24 or 25 letters or so.
Wow, that's a
With
lot of
notes
letters.
to all sorts of people. Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, when I go to get holiday cards, I go to my favorite place for cards, the dollar store.
Right, because I pick up so many.
And the last time I went, I got Halloween cards, and I think I got Thanksgiving cards too. It's the first thing it's the first
Got
time I
over
ever did
50
that.
cards.
Way so far ahead of time.
Yes.
It was incredible. And guess what? It was like $2 for $1.
Yep.
That's just crazy. Like $3, $4, $5 a card. That's insanity. Okay, so what else, Mom?
Watch TV.
Okay.
I happen to be a Western fan.
You love the Westerns,
but
yes.
there are certain shows that I like, and always watch the news. And Michael and I watch the Japanese network.
NHK, yeah. There's
NHK.
always something interesting on
I
there.
love it, but stories about Japan and their news is very unbiased. They're
Yes.
just telling news
It is.
out to the world,
It
and
is.
I like
and
that very
and they have
much.
interesting stories about people you should know and how they're running a family company and they're doing everything they can to make sure that they, maintain the company and keep up their reputation and whatever it is that they're making. They have a lot of pride in what they do, and there's a lot of cooking channels on there too. And I love to try some new things to cook on there. I think that's a lot of fun. But routinely, we'll watch the news and then we'll watch a little bit of NHK, right?
Yes,
And you watch some things in between.
yes,
Some you like to watch the guys in Alaska, right? You watch that show.
yes, I do. I like
Yeah.
yes, and I like
And what else, Mom?
a few magazines like the Smithsonian, National Geographic, Vanity Fair.
Oh yeah.
And I think that what you do to not get bored is keep a journal. Keep a little journal each day. That's something I don't always do, but I have done, is write in a journal each day. And also work on a hobby. I, being an allied arts and architecture major, likes to paint watercolors.
Yeah.
My daughter got me an easel. I'm not doing it right now, but went through a whole thing of painting watercolors.
Yeah. Didn't you work at a paint shop down there in Palatine for a while? You were showing art.
Oh yes, I
framing?
did. I did work as
Yeah.
in an art place. Yeah,
And that was kind of interesting,
right,
wasn't it?
right. But we're
Wow.
talking what to do to not get bored
Yeah.
at home.
Right.
Find a hobby like painting. I like is very much. All right. Other suggestions would be to plant a garden inside or outside. Go for a walk by yourself or with a friend and exercise
Yeah.
each day. And find something interesting. I used to knit, but I don't now. Pick up a little hobby. Okay?
All right. Great.
Have fun.
Oh, look at the time. That's it for now. See you next week.
Signing off for Mike and Fran. Have a colorful week with all the beautiful leaves. Bye.